Vice President JD Vance just spoke at the Bitcoin conference, and we streamed the entire thing live over on the Moon Show channel. But here on the Crypto Kid channel, I want to give you a full update on what happened during the Vice President's speech and what we should be expecting in the upcoming months, given the fact that he was incredibly bullish. So let's see how that reflected on the Bitcoin price and see the breaking news from the Bitcoin conference. Well, first of all, JD Vance's speech was incredibly bullish. There was a very clear contrast between what Trump's speech was in Nashville and how JD Vance's speech turned out to be over in Las Vegas. Obviously, when Trump was speaking at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville last year, he wasn't president of the United States of America. It was more of a Republican rally, more so than a Bitcoin and crypto speech. But this time around, in the past 9 short months, there's been so many developments. President Trump came into office. We have so many new bills in Congress, in the Senate for stablecoin, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, executive orders to buy Bitcoin for America. So there's so many more developments, and JD Vance addressed most of those things in an incredibly bullish way. So some of the notes that I took was overall incredible speech. And that, he's predicting that 100 million Americans will be Bitcoin holders in a very short amount of time. We're at 50 million so far. And he says that crypto is a hedge against inflation, against debanking, against discrimination by privatized institutions. And it gives liberties to Americans that, you get to participate in finance and you don't get debanked for your political beliefs or whatever. So incredibly bullish overall. His comments, and then he said that Bitcoin is an important strategic asset for America for the next 10 years, and there's going to be a push for the Bitcoin strategic reserve and stablecoin regulation. So overall, amazing speech. A lot of people were frustrated by the fact that Bitcoin didn't really pump from this incredibly bullish news, and I just had to explain that, guys, look, Bitcoin doesn't operate based off of fundamental analysis. It follows liquidity. It follows technical analysis. So all of these things that said by JD Vance is super bullish for the crypto industry's evolution in a political landscape, in a legislative point of view. Incredible stuff. And it does point to a more bullish crypto industry. So if you invest in crypto today, it's promising for future price action. But when you go into the immediate short term, number one, I said that during crypto conferences, unfortunately, Bitcoin doesn't do well. So that's something we mentioned before, and that's what's happening here. But the main driver of Bitcoin's price action is liquidity at the moment. So when we go into Bitcoin's price, we can see that we're seeing a bit of a correction, absolutely normal. Even when you compare the M2 money supply and where Bitcoin is now, we can expect a correction down possibly to the 100 region. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw upper 90s, but even if we do see that correction, I think Bitcoin will blast off going into June when America announces their budget neutral way to go in and buy into Bitcoin. So I would be looking to buy as much Bitcoin as possible, because even if we do see a correction into the upper 100s, it doesn't matter. I think Bitcoin will blast off and reach $150,000 this summer. So we are seeing a lot of bullish indications. Apart from Vice President's speech at the Bitcoin conference, we have M2 money supply hitting a brand new all-time high, more money, more liquidity, higher the price of Bitcoin goes. We have FTX creditors receiving $5 billion worth in stablecoins in 2 days, of which, even if it's a fraction, will go back into Bitcoin and cryptos. So very good for altcoins, very good for the price of Bitcoin in general. And in terms of legislation, we're seeing the US Labor Department rescinding the 2022 guidance that warned fiduciaries against including crypto in 401ks, meaning more and more long-term buyers for Bitcoin, which is fantastic for the long-term price appreciation. The JD Vance also did a roundtable with a couple of key Bitcoiners last night. So it's super obvious that he really does like Bitcoin. He really does understand cryptocurrency. He is the chief Senate member, if that's how you want to describe him. So he will have a lot of influence in policy, like Senator Cynthia Lummis's Bitcoin 1 million Bitcoin purchase bill. And if that gets passed, it will get passed in this Trump administration, where Trump has Supreme Court, he has Congress, he has Senate. So if we do see bullish Bitcoin and crypto legislation, it will happen in this specific Trump administration. And from the speech, it's clear that JD Vance really likes Senator Cynthia Lummis. And if you watch the Senate Banking Committee hearing, you can see incredible points made by JD Vance that does show that he's actually a Bitcoin bull and that he does own a significant amount of Bitcoin. So overall, incredibly bullish stuff. When you go to day one of the conference, Don Jr. was speaking about Bitcoin. He said, "We're going to the moon, guys. Unbelievable stuff. Steak and Shake CEO said that by using Bitcoin in our payment system, we're saving 50% in processing fees. Incredible. It's a very clear use case of blockchain technology where, conglomerates like Visa and MasterCard are not taking stupid fees from the merchant and the buyer. Bitcoin doesn't do that. The crypto czar also spoke on stage and he said, if we can convince Howard Lutnick and Scott Besson about the importance of Bitcoin, then we will see buying of Bitcoin and adding Bitcoin to the American treasuries. And guys, both Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent are incredible Bitcoin bulls. His son, Howard Lutnick's son, is speaking at the Bitcoin conference tomorrow. So I'm truly expecting some sort of Bitcoin accumulation happening by the US in June. But if we want continuous accumulation of Bitcoin in America, then obviously we need to pass legislation through Congress that cannot be overturned by future administrations. And like I said, I think if there is a time where we can see that sort of legislation being passed, it is during this Trump administration. Then we got GameStop finally purchasing Bitcoin. They bought 4,700 Bitcoin, and I think they're going to buy 10x that amount over the next few months. So I would be expecting 47,000 Bitcoin purchase from GameStop in the upcoming months. And the CEO, Ryan Cohen, said that it's better than gold and it has an asymmetric upside potential. And I completely agree. I think they're not going to go wrong on that Bitcoin purchase. And then finally, MicroStrategy stock obeying the M2 money supply. Just like Bitcoin, I think Strategy stock can hit $525 in the upcoming few months. So if you can trade on traditional finance, then I would be considering to look at MicroStrategy because I'm expecting over $500 for Strategy stock in the upcoming 2 to 3 months. But with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed that short update. Incredible stuff happening. I mean, there is a panel happening today, which is also important. Eric Trump, Don Jr., and American Bitcoin, they're speaking. And my friend Aaron Arnold from Altcoin Daily is going to be moderating that panel. Incredible. I'm so proud of him. And that will be also a pretty good panel to be watching out for. But apart from that, there isn't any other massive panel taking place today or tomorrow at the Bitcoin conference. So, I mean, today's JD Vance speech was the most important one, which we streamed over on the Moon Show channel. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. I wouldn't be waiting specifically for a massive Bitcoin correction. I would be trying to accumulate as much as possible, just in case that this was the dip before we continue pumping to the upside. But overall, I think Bitcoin is looking super bullish. So guys, take care. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all on the next video very soon. Take care. And as always, bye-bye.